Welcome to Court Explainer, which comes every day during the festive seasons, where we are teaching you the Constitution of Kenya. As our opening statement, Raila Odinga and Kibaki read the Constitution. We only voted. The two are dead. Because of that, we have decided to bring it now to you so that you can record it, you can read it from court helicopter. Our topic today, every time you hear the Bill of Rights, everywhere you are walking, you are told Kenya has the most progressive Bill of Rights. What is this Bill of Rights and where is it found? The Bill of Rights is found in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya. Lawyers talk about it. Judges talk about it. Journalists talk about it. Everybody talks about it. Let us see what Article 19 provides for. It says, the Bill of Rights is an integral part of Kenya's democratic state and is the framework for social, economic, and cultural policies. It forms the cornerstone of this country. In Article 2, listen very carefully. It says, the purpose of recognizing and protecting human rights and fundamental freedoms is to preserve, number one, the dignity of individuals and the communities, and to promote social justice and the realization of the potential of all human beings. The Bill of Rights talks about fundamental human rights. A fundamental human right is what differentiates us from animals. Remember, the difference of a human being and an animal is the dignity a human being is supposed to have. That is the reason why you are supposed to be dealt with dignity. Not respect, but dignity. And it moves on to say, this is what promotes social justice, that every government must promote the Bill of Rights by protecting the dignity of every citizen. It moves on to say that the realization of the potential of all human beings is so critical. Realization means what? That any child who is born with a mind that is called a tabula rasa, empty slate. The child doesn't know anything. The only thing the child knows is to cry. That child starts being taught. It grows. That child is fed. That child is nurtured. That child is brought into a certain culture. That child understands education system. That child grows to achieve its potential. The potential could be the child wanted to be an athlete. It is a duty of the government to ensure that child attains that. It's a duty of government to ensure that journalist wants to be the top-notch journalist. She has achieved her dreams. So the realization of the dreams is found in Article 19. It moves on to say, these rights, the fundamental human rights, belong to each individual, and they are not granted by the state. It is not the state that gives you dignity. They are for you. Each individual has inherent fundamental rights. You don't say, this is a Maasai, you treat her badly. This is a woman, you treat her badly. This is an orphan, you treat her badly. It moves on to say, you are only going to subject only to the limitations contemplated in this Constitution. For example, the right to liberty. Everybody has the freedom to move all over this country. But the Constitution can limit you if you are arrested, the police and the court can say your liberty is now curtailed. The reason why on Christmas you are moving from here to Mombasa, you are moving to Kwale, you are moving to Kisumu, you are moving to Nyamira, you are moving to Bungoma, it is because Article 19 allows you, because of the dignity and because of the fundamental human rights, you can decide where to hold your Christmas bill, your Christmas parties, and all those rights. In implementation of the rights and the fundamental freedoms, Article 21 mandates the government to ensure it provides that. It says in Article 21, it is a fundamental duty of the state and every state organ to observe, respect, protect, promote, and fulfill the rights and the fundamental freedoms of the Bill of Rights. The role of ensuring every citizen enjoys the fundamental rights is the role of the state. The government must ensure you get and you enjoy your fundamental rights. In Article 21, 3, it says all state organs and all public officers have the duty to address the needs of the vulnerable groups within society, including, and here listen, the vulnerable societies under Article 21(3) include women, so the women must be protected. Older members of society, any old person above 60 years must be protected by the state. Persons with a disability, they must be protected by the state. Children, it is the responsibility of the children of the government to protect our children. The youth, the Gen Zs, must be protected under Article 21. Members of the minority, these are people, the Ogieks are not more than 1,000 in their total population. There are population that are very few. They must be protected because their population is kidogo. The marginalized communities, the Samburus, the Ndorobos, the Ogieks, those marginalized communities are protected. The state must take an affirmative action to protect them. It goes on to say members of a particular ethnic community. If you target any ethnic community, it is a serious issue. A particular religious group must be protected, and cultural communities. That is why every culture, every tribe, nobody can interfere with their cultural practices, how they bury their people, how they conduct their weddings, how they conduct their festivities, how they conduct their initiation ceremonies, so long as it is not repugnant to morality and justice. For example, female genital mutilation. Science has found that it affects women during their reproductive times. That cultural practice has been made a criminal offense. So, the Bill of Rights under Section Article 22 must be enforced, and the courts in Article 23, it is the courts to uphold and enforce the Bill of Rights. The High Court, Article 23, has the jurisdiction to deal with matters of violation of human rights. You now understand, whenever Gen Z disappears, abducted, lawyers rush to the High Court because it is the High Court that has jurisdiction to deal with violation of the Bill of Rights. whenever you are been arrested and you have been taken to the police station and you have been beaten at the police station, you go to the High Court to say your rights, fundamental rights, have been violated. What are the reliefs the High Court can give? In Article 23(1), the High Court can give what is called a declaration of rights. The High Court can say these rights belong to you and you are entitled to enjoy them. Nobody can take them. 2, the High Court can give an injunction. It can stop the government from doing anything it is doing against you or against a community. 3rd, it can give a conservatory order. A conservatory order, if government was doing something, that property will be conserved. And lastly, it can order for compensation. So, if you lose anything, a violation, for example, you have been beaten by the police, you have injuries, you can go to the High Court and the High Court will order you to compensate it in millions of shillings. Those people who fought for Mau Mau, those Kenyans who were detained during the Moi era, those people went to the High Court and the High Court compensated them. So don't sit and say that your freedoms have been violated without that. But Article 25, Article 24 gives the courts, it gives the courts the power to limit those freedoms. For example, how? The court can, the right to life is absolute. But if you kill somebody, the court can order you to be killed. And that is why the limitations can be there. The right to walk freely, liberty, can be limited by the court. Therefore, if your rights and your freedoms are a danger to others, this Christmas, you are drinking Rusa. If it is going to be a danger to children who are very young, the area chief will cancel that bash and you'll do nothing. If your disco matanga is going to be a danger where people are likely to fight, the law can limit your happiness. If you are going to dress naked in a public place because it's Christmas, because it's Happy New Year, and you walk naked under the rules of natural morality, the courts, you'll be arrested and your freedom to dress naked will be inhibited. You have your freedom to be naked in your bedroom, but you have no freedom to walk naked in a public place where members of the public are. So these are the limitations the court, the Constitution provided in Article 24, but it is not absolute. These freedoms are not absolute, but the right to life can also be curtailed. So it is not absolute. I've warned you. The freedom to drive your car on the highway, if you overspeed, you break the law and you say it is your car, you have the right, then that right is not there. The right to life, you cannot drink over Christmas and attempt to commit suicide. This is my life. What are you telling me? This is my life, Omari. I've worked for myself. Let me commit suicide. The law will arrest you. You will be limited because the life belongs to the state. But in Article 25, there are those things that can never be limited. These are absolute rights. 1, despite any other provision in this Constitution, the following rights and fundamental freedoms shall not be limited. Nobody can limit them. 1, the freedom from torture. Nobody can be tortured in this country. That one, nobody can order you to be caned. And that is why we removed the law of torture. Those ones who are thinking that school girls and school boys are going, the cane is going to come back, Article 25 has completely made it constitutionally illegal to torture. Acha kuniangalia vibaya bana. You can't slap your wife. It is illegal. You can't torture any other human being. So those who are beating and battering girlfriends, those who are beating wives, those who think they have the right to cane their children, Article 25 has told you, you shall not expose any person to any forms of torture. Number two, any form of cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment. Any form of inhuman treatment is prohibited completely under Article 25. You can't forget about it. Number two, it talks about the freedom from slavery and servitude. Kenyans spoke loudly. You cannot put any other human being to slavery. You cannot put any other human being to servitude. Servitude means you work without pay. I know in this matter, people have gone home with the house girls. Those house girls have never been paid. The person who is paid is their mother, is their aunt, is their relative. That is against Article 25 of the Constitution. That is an offense called servitude. The employers who have not paid, that falls under the constitutional provision of slavery. You cannot put people on slavery. Third, the other right that can never be limited is what is called the right to a fair trial. Nobody can be condemned and hurt. Everybody must be hurt. Whether the judge sees you killing somebody, the judge cannot sentence you there. You must go through a due process. You'll be arrested, you'll be arraigned in court, witnesses must be called, you'll be given time to defend yourself, you must be heard. In employment, labor courts, employers sack you without giving you time to defend yourself. It is now you have known, you must be given a fair trial. And that is why we shall be looking in Article 47 what fair trial means. And lastly, the right to an order of habeas corpus. If a habeas corpus is when the state abducts you, when the police arrest you and they don't bring you to court, you walk to court and make an application for habeas corpus. And that habeas corpus, the court will be saying, bring Cyrus Kimanga or Bramwell here alive or dead. You have now known. Wakili Danstan Omari will always keep you giving you information. As I've said, those who read the Constitution, Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki, are dead. We have immortalized them by putting it on court helicopter so that you can now follow every episode free of charge as you are celebrating your Mbuzi Choma, as you are celebrating your Muratina, as you are celebrating your Busa over Christmas and Merry Happy New Year. Wakili Danstan Omari.